Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be working on a 2016 Audi Q5. We're going to be replacing the high pressure fuel pump and also the fuel rail sensor. We got some codes that I'm going to pull up in a minute that shows that the fuel rail pressure is off. So when it starts up at a cold start, the computer's immediately recognizing, hey, this pressure isn't correct. What happens on this particular problem is the shaft that goes up and down, so this runs off a lobe on the camshaft. That seal starts leaking and gasoline gets past that seal. It starts just slowly leaking down in there. And if you want to know how the best and easiest way to detect this problem is simply just take the oil cap off and smell your oil. If you got a real gassy smell on your oil, that's what's going on. But just stay tuned. I'm going to give you the step-by-step process. You're going to need triple spline sockets. If you don't know what those are, basically you're going to think it's a Torx, but it's not. It's like we'll decide what size we need in a minute. You're going to probably need some Torx sockets, a basic set of tools. You want to be real organized and just be ready and keep it clean. Don't take that fuel rail off or disconnect it at all while the engine's hot. You don't want to risk any fires or anything like that. So this thing's almost cooled down. The customer drove it here, so I'm gonna let it cool down a little bit more and we'll get back. I'll show you the codes that's on there and then we'll go from there. We'll do the repair step by step. It's became a pretty common problem on cars that get around 100 to 120,000 miles, I've noticed, on the Audis and the Volkswagen. I hope you learn a little bit off this video. I hope it helps you, and I hope it keeps you from throwing a bunch of parts on something without having an educated diagnostic done on it, because this is a pretty difficult one. This is one that you wouldn't think that could happen, but it does happen. Oh, hey, come on in a little closer. First thing we want to do is remove this clamp right here. Should relieve a little pressure. Don't want to be heavy-handed. I always talk about that a lot on my stuff on these type of cars. You want to be gentle. They don't like to be treated rough. Okay, we'll unplug that. Alright, we're going to want to get a pick for that. If you want to work on cars like this, you want to invest in a nice little pick set, because a lot of these clips, they can be a pain to get off. This one might work. Let's see. As you can see, it made pretty quick work out of it. I simply just lifted it up from the backside. I think if you took a flathead, that would have it off. If you don't have a pick, I think if you like that, but you're risking breaking that clip. So if you use a pick and just lift up on that right there, it pulls out easy. Next thing we want to do we want to check out our pressure sensor. This is a Euro pressure sensor. It was pretty hard to track down. Okay, we want to. We've already twisted the little seal, so we want to get behind it in this. The back, it's on a barb fitting. We don't want to tear the hose up while we're doing it. Be gentle and slowly take it off. See that pressure in there? That's why you want the engine to be cool. Whenever we're dealing with a high pressure fuel system, you always want to keep a good fire extinguisher handy. Just in case, you never know. Okay, so we got this off. Let's push this up out the way. This is kind of going to be on our way, so I'm going to take that one off too. I mean, technically, you could make a spark not realizing it was these clamps slipping off your pliers. So we're going to slide that back. I'm going to slide this one back too, because we're going to just go ahead and take them both off. You could probably sneak it out without doing this, but to me, this is recommended. Something we're going to do our little small twist. It's gonna come out that clip right there. Then we're gonna want to push up. Wherever you can get leverage, get leverage. It's not always possible, I know. Okay, so we got that up out the way. I'm gonna do the same thing on this one. Just want to get it twisting first. Get that seal broken loose. You could probably work around this one. Like I said, if you can get a little leverage off of this, use that to your advantage. You want to work this sensor off. You want to work this hose off. I'm going to set this hose to the side. We got off without damaging it. Okay. Next step. We're going to go ahead and remove the sensor right here. Set our sensor to the side. And we're going to take our wire, get it up out the way. From this point on, we should have pretty good access to our Torx bolts, which is going to be our triple spline. It's probably the 10mm. That's what I normally use on this. A nice, good, long triple spline 10mm. Those little short ones just don't do the trick. You can't get enough room up in there to get them off. We're not gonna take them off yet. We're just gonna crack them loose. There you can see that pressure that relieved. That's why you don't want to take off while it's hot. A lot of pressure builds up in there. There's other ways to relieve the pressure, but I've done these before. If you're just patient, let the engine cool down. Do it this way, make sure the battery's on hook. You'll be good to go. Alright, next thing we want to do, I do not like using power tools on this high pressure fuel pump. I know I have them up here, but kind of like a just in case I run into another problem. We also see that the engine has an oil leak on it. We're going to tell the customer about it. That's pretty recent. I'm going to spray it off with brake clean to see just how bad it is. This particular car hit that mileage that a lot of maintenance is going to need to be done. Alright, let's go ahead and crack this one loose. Alright, let's crack loose. Alright, now we want to get that size wrench. Get this big old out of date big flashlight down here right there. I don't know if you see it. We're gonna crack that line loose, and that's the trickiest part of the job, not cross threading that when you get it back up in there. I don't know if you can see that. I think it's gonna be a 17, 18, or 19. It's my best guess. Let's see what size this thing is. I think 17 is gonna do it. That's cool. That's the one I was thinking. Alright, so we want to crack loose the 710. That's what we're doing now. We're gonna let that pressure relieve for a minute. I had this weird bent up 11/16. If you ever have like a bunch of wrenches, like all you guys simply do is heat them up with a MAP gas. If you try to bend it without it heated up, it's just gonna snap. But it helps for like stuff like this. It puts a weird angle on it, and you can kind of helps you get stuff fished out. I actually think I bent this one for this job on a different car. Do not use like a regular type light that has a regular light bulb that could pop and have an open thing, because it would not always use some kind of LED light. It's not gonna spark or cause gasoline to flame up. But you're better to be extra cautious than to be careless. Because if you're careless, you can take stuff for granted all you want, but if you do as many jobs as I do, about 40 a week, you're gonna make a mistake. You gotta treat every single job like it was your last job or your first job. Of course, if there's certain jobs you do every day that you can probably cruise right through, but on one like this, treat it with a little extra respect. Alright, once you get it enough loose with the wrench, you can get your fingers down after the pressure is relieved. If you get a couple turns, do it. Sometimes you gotta stop. I turned a little bit, now I gotta put the wrench back on it. Because it is a steel bolt on brass, and you know, brass stretches. So the threads might not be perfect. That's the whole reason why you don't, when you go put it back on, you want to be extra careful. And when we install this thing, we'll be able to verify that we fixed it by watching live data on a scanner. We're gonna get it running, prime it up, and then leave it with the power on and watch. It should tell us what the desired pressure is and what the actual pressure is. But this is always your first step, because the most common problem but this particular customer was running 87 in a car that's meant for 93, and she sounds like she's done it for a pretty long period of time, and that actually creates these type problems. We already dealt with the spark plugs and the ignition coils on a different time. I didn't do a video on it, but she had asked me, is it time for me to sell this car? I said, you know, I told her it was really up to her. I said, but just like I tell anyone else, the BMW, the Audi, the Mercedes-Benz designed for that guy or gal that gets that first 40 or 80,000 miles out of it. If you want to keep it past that, you have to do the repairs as they come. You don't have no choice. Don't get mad at your mechanic when he tells you there's something wrong with your car. You know, she asked me another question through a text message. I hope this is the last thing that's wrong with it. I mean, So do I. But it's the nature of the beast on these things. I mean, you can't get mad at the mechanic. We can only scan it and tell you what's wrong. If you're in the area and you call around mobile mechanics and a lot of shops, are gonna, hey, do you work on Audis? They're gonna say no, real quick, because they're busy. They don't want the headache. They don't want the customer doubting them and wondering why my part's $500. Why does it cost this much? You told me it was this. These things literally can get 3 or 4 problems at the same time. So a lot of mechanics don't want to deal with it, or they don't want to go through the headache of going through the test to find out what's wrong with things. They'd rather just keep doing the easy stuff that's making them money. You won't make a lot of money doing jobs like this. I like doing them, like personally me. Alright, let's take a look at this thing. Oh, that's smoking nothing but raw gas down there. So, let me get a flashlight and tell you what's going on. Right there. I don't know if you see that shaft. Gasoline is seeping right in there to the oil. I smell it. It's like nice and fresh. I smell like gasoline. The oil's already kind of thin. And now that I see it, she just got her oil change done. She's probably gonna have to get the oil changed again because the oil's probably pretty thin. But this just happened over the last week or so. Yeah, I hate to tell her that. She's gonna be mad at me. But I'm sure she'll watch this video and see it, what I'm talking about. Alright, now we want to look down in that hole and make sure that the little piece isn't damaged. What I mean by that, there's like a little piece that actually, I'm gonna go ahead and take it out so I can show you. I haven't seen it happen on Audis, but I've seen it happen on a Ford that has the same style pump. These little lifter tabs that get slammed wore out, so you always want to look at the end of them. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but you'll see it when I get it out. So if you're doing this job, you kind of got to put your finger up in there. I had good grip on it the first time. Now it's all slippery. It needs to come back a little bit more. Okay. I had one incident where the end of this little thing wore out. And pay attention when you're taking it out, because it might go in a certain way, which this one does. Okay, this one's smart. See, it's got a little roller on it. That makes it even better. The Ford one was flat, so what was happening, the cam lobe was going on. It wore this thing out, and I ended up having to replace it because I seen it worn out, or it would have been just riding straight onto that. So this piece, it rides onto it like this. For the techs, I'm sorry, I'm taking the time to explain this to the DIY people, but they need to know. Always check this thing out. And it's cool because this is the first time I've seen this one. All right, so you see the little node sticking up. It actually goes in one way. The Ford was different at free spun. It was a Ford one of them eco engines. All right, so we got that back down in there. Now we want to take our new pump made by Delphi, and we'll compare it to the old one. See what pump this one was. Okay, that's a Delphi. I figured it would be that a lady that I know just went and got one of these replaced at the dealership, and they charged her about 5 times more than what I'm charging this lady for the same job, same exact part. So this is original equipment. It was kind of hard to track down. I ended up finding it through AutoZone. Take the cap off. Take the cap off of this. Alright, so my suggestion, make sure you have this new O-ring lubed up real good. Don't even hesitate. Fish it back down in the same spot. But keep in mind of that line, because I've had some that go on real smooth, and I've had other ones where I gotta take that torque screw out so I can manipulate the metal line to get it in the right position that I like. We'll see if that was the case on this. My suggestion is try your best to get that line started before you can start cranking those bolts in. Alright, so I got lucky, and it don't happen all the time. I think I got 4 or 5 threads on that thing now, and it's been real smooth. Because once you pull that thing in, it's spring loaded. It's going to cock out of that line. And I know this from experience, so I'm telling you so you don't have to experience what I experienced. Because I had to end up loosening the bolts back up to get the line. And then one time I was able to do it, and the second time I wasn't, so every situation might be different. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and take our little crooked little wrench wherever we put it at. Here's one 710, but that other one was working good, so I want to use that same one. And I can't find it right now. Let's see what I can get with this one. You want to get snug so it don't shift too much. And I'm going to show you an old one real quick what I'm talking about. Even the American cars switched to this technology. They either stole it or borrowed it or whatever from BMW and Audi and all of them, because they were doing it first. But Chevrolet has them now, Ford has them, Hyundai. They got a lift pump in the tank, and then they got the high pressure pump. It makes it a gas sipper. As you can see, I'm just slowly patient man's game. Just slowly just getting some turns out of it. I'm not feeling any resistance. If you think you got this line on there and you're feeling resistance, loosen that back up before you ruin that brass bolt on. That means you got it cross thread. Don't do that. You don't want a good comeback. If you're the type of guy that don't have patience, don't even try to attempt doing something like this. I got it snug. I'm not gonna tighten up all the way, but I'm gonna show you why it's so important. Right here, see how it's domed? Well, the line that goes into it is domed, so when it presses up against that brass, that's what makes it seal up. If you get it like at an angle or it's not sitting just right in there, it won't seal up. And it doesn't matter how tight you get it, it's gonna leak. Alright, so let's move on. We're ready to go ahead and take our two 10mm tip triple splines. Let's be patient, we don't drop them. If you drop them, you gotta pull the whole bottom cover off. You can't fish it out with a magnet. So you want to get a few threads started on one. And then you want to go down to the bottom one. I would take the extra time to take those lines off like I did, just so you don't have to work around them. You're less likely to drop the bolt. And I know you can probably get it without taking those two rubber lines off, but why take the chance? Alright, so we got those in there. Okay, so we got that bottom one started. And this is pretty particular. You do not want to crank one side down all the way without going back and forth, because you're going to pinching that over and you're going to get oil leak. So you want to go like so. Move over to the other one. Do a couple cranks out of that one. And move back over to the other one. There's that one. That one's acting funny, so I'm gonna get my little midget ratchet if I can find it. A little midget ratchet. I'm gonna upsize it to a 3/8. That way I can get a better feel on it, because I'm not really feeling that one. Let's look at it. You can't see it that good, so we're going by feel. So now I'm gonna go back to the other one. You don't have a little midget ratchet? I bought this at AutoZone. It's a micro ratchet. I call it a midget ratchet. It saved my butt quite a few times so far. Alright, now let's go back to the top one. That's nice and tight. I feel comfortable enough to go back this ratchet on this one now. The reason why this is taking so long, that spring is compressing. I mean, if we were lucky enough to get it on the open load where it was down, it probably wouldn't be so bad. Now we want to take our light. Let's make sure this thing's lining up good. We want to make sure that butt of that is equal to the other side. Alright, so I want to tighten up that other one a little bit more. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and tighten up this line. So we might have some troubles and have to get that other wrench, because we want to turn it a little bit at a time. This is almost like doing a crush washer on like a brake setup, because you're crushing the metal tube into the I got nice and tight, so I'm gonna get like, I don't know, 1 or 2 more pulls. This should be the last one. I don't want to go too tight because if it's seeping, I can get another crank out later on. But I had to, but I thought that's probably good right there. All right, now I want to observe how it's sitting one more time. I also want to observe the bolt in the back. Basically put my finger behind it. It is not tied up all the way. There's still a few more turns. Alright, let's tighten up. So that line in the back was throwing it off because it was under tension. That's why you want to start it first. Alright, so now you simply want to make sure these lines are going to route correctly, which is, you kind of got a little white mark right there. You got phone, so make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing. Alright, so there's like literally a little mark right there that tells you where to put it at. And then of course that goes there. I learn something new every day. This thing actually has 2 sensors on the rail. You got one that sits right here and one that sits at the bottom. I was able to unplug it and I cleaned all the connections really good. It had a little corrosion up in there that may or may not have affected it. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the genuine Bosch sensor back in. Hopefully I don't have to tell her she needs a second sensor. I'll know it when I do the retest. That one, I seen that one too. It's orange. But I can't not get that one. I already checked into it. So I'm gonna hope that this is a robust enough repair. And truly the sensor was just like a backup plan. We're gonna go ahead and put these hoses back on. Make sure they're up on there nice and flush. And then we're gonna go ahead and install the clamp. Another little trick you can do to make those clamps slide a little bit better. Take some lube or something, just make it wet. That's gonna dry quick, so I gotta hurry up. It slides up on her because it's a really tight fit. Get this one ready. I'm gonna turn this all up to the top. Okay, so we got that on there, that on there. Let's put this other clamp back down on here. I'm gonna spread, put a little spray on there, get wet, so it slid up easily. All right, now that's on there. All right, now we know we took these connectors back. Make sure we get the kind of tucked up a certain way. I'm gonna put this right here. Everything's up on there. I'm gonna triple check everything. Everything's back together on this thing. We're gonna go ahead and get the scanner. It's good to go. Alright, as you can see, we just started this thing up. It's gonna run a little funny. It took about 3 tries. Don't freak out, because that's air that's in the system. It's going to have to bleed itself out. It's going to take a minute. So you don't want to do any code resets or any parameter resets until you get a nice smooth operation. Low pressure. Okay, so I'm back. I had to confer with my really smart friend, Mr. Google. I'm gonna pull that up for you and show you what I found. This particular engine should maintain, after 10 minutes, at least 43.5 psi. So, okay, so I'm back after another 10 minutes. It pretty much stays around 150, so we're good. And the specified value and the fuel rail value stay within a few pounds of pressure of each other. This is a successful repair.